what we teach here with Social Media Blueprints is how to do this business ethically, how to do this business in a way that sellers want to come to you.
Stop investing in real estate the hard way and start doing real estate investing the smart way. And got a wire for 45 grand to my bank account in 78 days.
This one simple step that I'm about to show you will absolutely blow your mind.
Shout out and say thank you for your Social Media Blueprints training.
It's been awesome. Like, I've had a great experience with Social Media Blueprints.
Everyone here is just here as friends, and we're here to help each other, and we're here to help each other grow.
You didn't just give up on me, you stay right there with me, and I appreciate it so much.
Welcome back for a bonus day. This is a super Saturday. I got some of my good friends that are coming along to help today too. This is going to be good stuff. We're going to be talking today about two things that you really ought to know and understand if you're going to be a real estate investor in this next cycle of real estate that's heading our way. We're going to talk some about foreclosures. Foreclosures, yes, because right now there is a tsunami of foreclosures that have been frozen. They call it a moratorium because of the whole pandemic thing that has happened. A lot of foreclosures have been stuck in the process. And typically there's a lot of foreclosures over years. So there's what's been created is this big backlog. And then most importantly, we're going to talk about how you can step in and help the sellers that are going through that process. There is a way to save their property. There is a way to save their equity. And we're going to be covering that today. And what I want to do is this. I'm going to do two things. I want to get going with number one, this. I want to talk about basically the overview of what we're covering today, number one, so that you have this. And then number two, I've got a special guest for you that we're going to bring on. We're going to talk to him. His name is Chris. Chris has literally done over 1,600 real estate deals. And he knows a thing or two about the topic that we're going to be talking about today. And I'm going to bring him on. Let me set the stage a little bit to help give you context, give you some context for what we're going to be talking about today. You can't go a day or two in the news if you're looking for this stuff without seeing some of the news articles that are out there. I mean, literally, I just Google searched this morning to stay fresh on this. The moratorium, CDC is making a moratorium on eviction freezes, and then consequently government-backed loans get frozen on foreclosure. That's what the moratorium is. There's all this stuff out there in the news about it. You can Google search if you want to see more of it. But what's happened is that a lot of people got behind on their rental payments, and then landlords especially, they tried to turn around and pay the bank, but if they don't have funds coming in, they can only make it so long before they get to the point where they can't pay the bank either. And I spoke with a very prominent bankruptcy attorney. Their firm is pretty big. And they literally said, this is the quote that I took from their head attorney: bankers are drawing their daggers behind their backs right now. And what he was implying is that the bankers are just waiting. They've got the knife behind their back right now, and they're waiting to draw it out as soon as this moratorium lifts. They're going to basically go out and take the whatever looks like a bad note on their book, a bad mortgage, a bad loan. They're going to take that one first. And so a lot of homeowners, especially the ones that, let's just say that they know that they're safe because of the moratorium right now, but eventually they know that the day is coming, that eventually they're going to have to pay the piper. They're going to have to pay for all the back payments and things like that. Some of them are reaching out to us already right here, right now, saying, hey, I know eventually this is going to happen. What can we do now? And I want us to be equipped today for you to help with that. So it takes an understanding of the whole process. More if you could, I don't want to bore you with too much of this stuff, but banks can't let a bunch of bad notes or bad mortgages stack up on their books. They simply can't, because what will happen, all banks are regulated by the FDIC. And the FDIC does a measurement of a health test, essentially. It's are you a healthy bank? Do you have good assets? And do you have too many bad assets? And if at the end of the day, if they've got too many bad assets, then guess what? The FDIC can come in and shut down a bank. And we saw that a lot back in 2008, 2009, 2010. The FDIC was forcing a lot of banks to close down. So the bankers right now that have bad notes on their book, loans that aren't being paid, they're like the bankruptcy attorney said, they've got their knives, their daggers drawn behind their back. They're just waiting for the day because they don't want to end up on this bad failing bank list because the FDIC could shut them down. So we'll talk about this a little bit, and I'm going to bring our guest speaker on so we can jam some more about this. But this is kind of what it looks like on a grand scale. Typically what happens, and I'm going to go deep on each side of this too. Typically what happens is that someone that's got a property, a homeowner, they'll miss some payments. It could be one payment, it could be 3 payments, it could be 12. We never really know when this happens because every bank's different, but at some point the bank is going to start sending notices. The first one might be like, hey, you missed a payment, you're late, you got to make up for that. The second one gets a little more aggressive, like, hey, you better make this payment now. The third one is, hey, make this payment or we're going to take legal action. And they tend to get more aggressive with time, essentially. In a normal foreclosure market, what happens is then a case is filed, a lawsuit, essentially. It's a foreclosure action. A case is filed, and then eventually the sheriff's sale happens. That's the day that the house can be auctioned off. Now, after the sheriff's sale, every state's a little bit different on this, but typically what will happen is that homeowner, they will have some period of time to redeem themselves, meaning they can bring money to the table, pay off everything, and then still keep their property. Very few people redeem themselves. Very, very few. If they didn't have the money to make the payments on the front side, the likelihood that they're going to be able to redeem themselves on the back end, unless the bank gives a crazy low offer, is slim to none. And then what happens after redemption is then it turns into an REO, which stands for real estate owned. It's a true, full-blown, what we would call a foreclosure now. And then they're typically sold off. That's kind of the general process. So what I'm going to do now, we're going to bring Chris on. We're going to talk with Chris for a bit, and then we'll keep going deeper. We'll keep going deeper so you can really understand this whole process. Chris, my man, if I bring you on, let's see. Chris, can you hear us, man?
I can hear you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, thanks for joining us on a Saturday.
Oh, man, it's great. I appreciate inviting me. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. So just to give some context on this with Chris is a guy that I've known him now for almost a decade. And I got to meet Chris when I was out teaching other real estate investors at an event. And Chris came along to teach other real estate investors too. And one thing that blew me away about Chris, number one, he's super, super humble guy. But number two, this guy has done over 1,600 real estate transactions. And he doesn't walk around with a big head or anything like that. Super humble, salt of the earth kind of guy. And when I asked him if he could come and share, he came. And Chris, we really appreciate you coming today, man.
Well, thanks. Thanks for saying that. I appreciate it.
Chris, what do you think? I know in a normal market, there's typically foreclosures that will come through, good or bad. They typically come through. What do you think is going to happen with this freeze, this moratorium? What are we looking at once the freeze is lifted?
Yeah. So I think a couple of things. I think, first of all, we're looking at, from our standpoint, some pretty big opportunities, possibly the biggest that we've seen in a decade, or more since the crash of 2008. And I also see a lot of people that are needing help, right? Just like 2008, a lot of people don't know what's going to happen. And so it provides us an opportunity, but it also helps them out, whatever they're facing as well. So I think that some good opportunities on the horizon.
Yeah, absolutely. And team, let us know, our fellow challengers here, let us know, can you see and hear us okay? I'm going to go over to the actual Facebook stream and see if we're populating. If you can hear us, let us know. Yeah, I can hear you, or I can see you. And that way there we'll know, and we can keep jamming on this. We're covering some pretty important stuff right now. So I want to make sure that we're getting to the group. Let's see. Guys, can you hear us? Let us know in the chat. If you can hear us okay. Yes. Okay, we got a lot of people. Anne Marie says you can't see us, but Helen and Maxine and Victor. Okay, cool. So Anne Marie, maybe just try doing a refresh on the page If anyone out there can't hear us or see us, then try doing a refresh on the page, and that should repopulate it. And then Melissa, I'm going to tag this as an announcement at the top of the group, at the very top of the group. Chris, have you picked up any properties either pre-foreclosure or post-foreclosure?
Recently, you mean?
No, anytime. Like I know you've done a lot of deals across the country.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So I would say probably a little more than half of my deals have been foreclosures. And so somewhere around 900 or so of the properties have been foreclosures.
See, this is what I'm talking about, guys. Like Chris just casually, a little over 900 properties of, okay, but super humble dude. Right? Okay.
You're going to make me blush, Nate.
So Chris, is there any nuggets that you can give to folks that are like, we're walking into potentially another market like that? Maybe it won't be as severe. I don't know. No one really knows, but any tips that you can share?
So I think first and foremost, one of the things, and this is something that I've learned from Nate over the years, is you always want to go in with a spirit of being able to help. So if it's pre-foreclosure, right, where you're going to be able to help the homeowner directly without, before it goes to the bank and everything, then always go in with an attitude of service, right? You want to be able to serve them. You want to be able to help them. You're helping them for a variety of reasons. Sometimes it's just to get the burden off their shoulders. Other times it's to get the burden off plus to salvage something like their credit or something else. So a spirit of service is I think, first and foremost. And then if it's after foreclosure, if the bank already has it and it's that REO that you spoke of a minute ago, then you still want to serve them. Even though it's the bank, you still want to be of service. I would also add to that, though, that you want to have confidence that you can fulfill, right? And you want to do absolutely everything you can to help that bank take this negative off of their books. Because if they have confidence in you, if you go in with confidence and the bank has confidence in you, then they're going to want to work with you.
Hey, Chris, and everyone watching, I think we got to actually stop the stream and restart. One sec. Hey, Melissa, I got you on speaker. We're going to stop and restart because some people aren't getting the video feed. So we can't control Facebook. Sometimes stuff doesn't connect all the way through. So we're going to stop and restart. So same place, same action, same link for you too, Chris, but we will stop and restart.
See you in a few.